So My Hero Academia Chapter 298 is out, and with it comes the aftermath of the villain's big raid on the aptly named Tartarus prison. A prison that took exactly one chapter to be utterly obliterated. But okay, I understand that it got attacked on both fronts by two people with essentially god-tier quirks sharing the same consciousness alongside multiple creatures whose sole creation was to wreak devastation and an army of the world's most dangerous inmates. But come on, one chapter? Gygas and Breers deserve better than that. Hashtag justice for Gygbreer or Gigbreer, whatever how the hell you pronounce your damn name. But this isn't the only insight this chapter has to offer, as we also get a better look at the conditions of the surviving main cast of heroes. We get to see new revelations, character realizations, and we are also left with a shocking cliffhanger. But before I begin talking about this chapter, I'm first going to go into a quick summary of what happened last time. In the last chapter, Shigaraki and his group of Nomus initiated a full frontal assault onto Tartarus prison. During this, we got a nice little look into the prison's hierarchy as well as into the ethics and mentality of the guards working in said prison. After this quick update, Shigaraki's destruction leads to the prison's monitoring system being disabled for a couple of seconds, which is more than enough time for All For One to unleash his quirk's power inside the prison walls, releasing multiple inmates and resulting in a mass prison riot. In the ensuing chaos, we get to see a few familiar faces, such as Muscular, Moonfish, and even Overhaul. But more importantly, we get to see this damn mysterious woman whose identity keeps me up at night. She's got multicolored hair, for God's sake. She has to be important. Who are you? But anyway, the villains wreak havoc in the prison and the chapter ends with Shigaraki and All For One coming face to face for the first time since All For One's fight with All Might. And this is where chapter 298 picks up. Actually, I lied. This chapter opens up with a small side story following Redstro during the heroes' raid on Jakku Hospital. As it turns out, while the heroes began their raid in Jakku, Redstro had made use of twice his quirk and duplicated himself, sending his duplicate to the Hero Public Safety Commission's main office, where he attacked and more than likely killed multiple members, the most notable of which is the Public Safety Commission's president, although it is unclear as to whether or not she has been killed or just severely injured. And after this little side story, this chapter finally picks up where the last chapter left off, or more specifically, 6 hours after the villain's raid on Tartarus. The panels show multiple prisons across different areas which seemingly are going through the same disastrous situation Tartarus went through, as they are being raided by Nomus and other dangerous inmates. During all of this rampant chaos, it cuts to the inside of an emergency helicarrier where we see All For One. Here, he explains that he sent out the Nomus and the inmates of Tartarus to attack the other prisons as a means to hide his own escape. With this, it cuts back to an All For One controlled Shigaraki explaining all of this to Spinner, Dobby, and Skeptic. And after this exposition drop, we get a nice scene between Spinner and All For One, as Spinner recounts his bond with Shigaraki saying, "So who are you? Because you are not the one I chose to follow." Now I really like this moment, because it shows the loyalty between Shigaraki and his crew. They aren't a ragtag group of villains using one another to further achieve their own goals. They have a friendship which has been forged through hardships, failures, and shared experiences. They are a family looking out for one another while they achieve their dreams together. So in their eyes, All For One isn't this big leader or puppet master. He's nothing more than a stepping stone on their journey together. And I really like this dynamic between the League members. Usually when it comes to villain groups, it's all about power, following the most powerful person until they fall or someone even stronger comes along, and then there's a change in alliances. This is a group whose strength is built on trust and a kinship. When one falls, they don't just abandon them, which is a great contrast to All For One's ideology of basing a person's worth off their usefulness, which can be seen in just 3 chapters prior when Spinner asks to go back for Toga Compress and Gigantomachia, but All For One refuses and remains on his retreat, something Shigaraki would never do. But anyway, All For One responds to Spinner's question by reassuring him that he respects Shigaraki's goals and wishes, and he asks that they look after Shigaraki's body as he rests. This conversation ends with All For One stating that once Shigi has been fully rested and has gained the full power of All For One, that their dream will be achieved. Note my emphasis on the word dare, as in the plural dare. After this, it cuts to 2 days later, with Bakugo waking up in a hospital bed. As he sits up covered in bandages, understandably, he is greeted by a few of his fellow classmates who are both shocked and relieved to see that he is awake. Bakugo being, well, Bakugo angrily shouts at his classmates asking where he is, which only confirms to the group that he is perfectly fine. The group let him know that he is in Central Hospital, a high-tech medical facility. But while Mineta of all people dives on Bakugo crying tears of joy at his recovery, the playful atmosphere changes as a now concerned Bakugo asks about the conditions of Deku, Todoroki, Aizawa, Best Jeanist, Endeavor, and everyone else. Now this is a great example of Bakugo's character growth, as you can actually see the genuine concern on his face for his classmates and mentors. Our little explosion turd is growing up! But Bakugo's question is met with saddened faces. It then cuts through the hospital, showing Gran Torino and a now one-legged Aizawa in recovery beds. President Mike is in the room with Aizawa, and as he tries to bring up Midnight, Aizawa tells him not to mention it and to just let him know how his students are doing. Now if you want to know how truly tragic this is for Aizawa, you should check out my video on Aizawa the Tragic Hero. This man has been through hell. After this, it cuts to Todoroki recovering in his hospital bed surrounded by a number of his classmates. They tell him not to worry as he looks out the window at the countless paparazzi trying to storm into the hospital asking about 1. Endeavor's condition, and 2. Endeavor's response to Dabi's claims. Now here is where a new revelation occurs. As all of this is going on, Todoroki thinks back to what a villain said during his work studies with Endeavor. He claimed that Endeavor is the root of all this trouble, that his flame only beckons to darkness and will bring forth everyone's demise. With this thought in his head, Todoroki begins to think about Dabi, how his flames were even more powerful than Endeavor's, how they were fueled by a raw hatred. But with this raw hatred, he's not only destroying himself, but countless others. And this is where Todoroki realizes that he is Dabi, or at least he could have been. It's a really interesting moment where Todoroki realizes that Dabi is essentially what he would have been if he hadn't have fought Midoriya during the sports festival. And with this realization, Todoroki states in his head that it can't be Endeavor that defeats Toya. It has to be him. Now there is so much going on here. You have the parallel between Toya and Shoto, the child who fell and the child who rose. You have the parallel between Toya and Endeavor, men so hell-bent on a goal that they don't care what gets in their way. And now, you have the parallel between Shoto and Endeavor, the heroes who have to fight their past selves to fully accept who they want to become. Endeavor's past self being High-End. God, this family is so flawed and intertwined, why do I love it so much? And as if on cue, as he is thinking about his villainous sibling, Shoto's older brother and sister arrive with a silhouetted figure who can only be Shoto's mother, Rei. Now god damn, I cannot wait to see what she has to say, especially considering Shoto's throat is burnt so he can't talk. You absolutely know it's going to be a tearjerker. And finally, this chapter comes to an end with Sato and Mineta trying to stop Bakugo from charging down the hall, as it's revealed to us that the reason his classmates look so down when Bakugo asked was everyone okay is because everyone seems fine except for Midoriya, who hasn't shown any sign of waking up. And as the last panel shows an unconscious Midoriya in his bed with All Might holding on to him, the chapter comes to a close. All in all, I actually really enjoyed this chapter. Although I will say I am a little confused about the whole Redstro stuff at the start. Like, yes, he attacked the Hero Public Safety Commission's headquarters and president, but why let us know this now and not when the whole war was going on? It feels like a, oh crap, I forgot to mention this part and I'll just add it in here section. Now, this could actually have some big effect on society or in general, but at the moment, I'm unsure of its relevance other than, oh, the villains did this too, you just didn't know it. But I very much could be wrong, and if I am, please do let me know. But for the rest of the stuff that happened, I really enjoyed it. The whole villain section really seems like it's setting up for a time skip, with All for One's plan only coming into effect when Shigaraki is fully rested and got his power, and with the damage he has now, for all we know, that could be a year or two away. Seeing the heroes in the hospital reassured me of this even more, as no one is even close to fighting conditions. I love Shoto's revelation about Dabi, and I can't wait to see what his mother has to say. As for Midoriya, he's the protagonist, he has to wake up. Bakugo will probably come in and give some spiel about, you can't die until I've beat you, angry explosion, blah blah blah, no, maybe a tear here or there, whatever, and then Midoriya will wake up and he'll all be like, I never did that, stop lying you damn bastard, blah blah, you know, the old typical My Hero stuff. More than likely, Midoriya is probably just inside one Frawl at the moment talking away with another one of its old users. Probably the fourth user considering he just activated his quirk. But let me know what you think. Do you think there's going to be a time skip? If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and comment what you think is going to happen next. For more My Hero content, subscribe to the Lunchtime crew. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Plus Ultra!